Oh, there we go. We're live. Hello, America. We're back. We're back at it.
Hey, everybody.
Amazingly.
Yeah.
We're still here.
Okay. Yeah. You know, we keep showing up over and over, even with our technical difficulties.
Hey, 2 weeks in a row is a record for us these days, just to be clear.
Well, yeah, we have been going on a lot of breaks.
They're well deserved. It's okay.
We have real jobs. That's the problem. Okay. So lots that continues to happen every day in health tech in America. We have a special guest that's going to join us for the second half of the show, but he's going to introduce himself now. Friend of the show who watches it every week, I heard.
Every week. It's blocked in my calendar as Cat Lisa's special time.
That's what I'm talking about. But I think so Mendel Erlenwein, he is the CEO of Careco. And he's also internet luminary, world famous podcaster, allegedly more famous than us. What? He's got look at his professional equipment. You can see on screen. This might be one of our more well-produced shows, only because one of our guests did not drop off. So
hey, I have that equipment too. I just am temporarily homeless, so it is in a box somewhere. So you know.
Yeah.
You actually, Lisa, you look like you're in a legit studio.
I actually am. I'm just not using it correctly. Look, this is a mic too.
Okay.
But yeah, no, this is a real one.
Well, Melissa's in a mansion as usual.
I was gonna say I'm in my downstairs boudoir.
Yes. The best is when other guests show up with the exact same house as Melissa as their background, which is super fun.
That's good.
But anyway, we got some stuff going on. Mendel has some real thoughts. We saw some of his commentary on the physician fee schedule proposed rule over the past couple weeks, and we're excited to have someone legit tell us some stuff. But Mendel, would you like to quickly introduce yourself and what you do before we get into it and ruin everything?
Sure, happy to. I don't think you'll ruin anything. But my name is still Mendel, and I am the CEO at Careco. Careco is an intelligence platform for care teams. Specifically, we use the telephony communication stack, so phone, video, texting, and ambient recording to sync up patient conversations to build like a mini brain on every patient. And then we use that to drive intelligence in every conversation to achieve better outcomes and then prove it and track it along the way. Been in the care management space for the past 8 years, built in and sold actually recently. That's actually news because I haven't really done press releases yet, but built and sold a care management services company, and very excited to be amongst fellow luminaries.
You're just selling stuff. That's cool.
Fellow luminaries. I like this guy.
Yeah. Maybe someday someone will buy the Health Tech Talk Show. I don't know. It's so confusing.
Yeah. It advise us on how to sell our amazing asset, the Health Tech Talk Show.
Oh my God.
Now PE guy, so we can talk multiples, you know?
Oh, fantastic. I think the first thing someone is going to tell us when we enter into acquisition or talks about how we should sell it, I think they'll tell us to stop shit talking, which will make our show worse. Then no one will watch. Basically, we're screwed. So, okay.
We do it for the love of the game, not for the money.
That's what I'm talking about. We're going to put you in the background so, we don't get you in trouble. We'll get get a glass of wine or whatever you're going to do. And we will get you back here in about half an hour. Melissa, anything new and exciting from you? You have an announcement, don't you?
Do I?
You tribal liaison for Delaware?
I made tribal liaison for Delaware HIMSS, Delaware Valley HIMSS. New Jersey is going to be voting hopefully soon. We will have a potentially special correspondent at NIHB where we'll be doing live interviews, or maybe not live because apparently we're not live right now. It says pre-live, just FYI. I'm trying to figure out why it says pre-live. More to come later. But yeah, all really cool things that will be happening. Hopefully it'll stream and things will be great. But also we will be at Vive, and I just registered. So please start sending them now as opposed to later.
Health. Vive was in January or February.
Right. Health. Correct me. Fine. We'll be at Health. We'll be at Vive too eventually.
We'll be at Vive too eventually.
We'll go there sometime.
Just later next year.
So I can get it. I don't know why it's saying pre-live. It says it's supposed to be live right now. So I don't know.
Well, you know what? This sounds like a problem for us to figure out later. So Melissa, tell our fans what NIHB means for those who don't.
The National Indian Health Board, where they will be speaking on public health and CDC initiatives and all those things that are going to be happening that are going amongst all the tribes, federally and state recognized.
That's right, America. This is where you can get all those deets, the Health Tech Talk Show, world famous. Okay. Yeah. It says LinkedIn. It's a LinkedIn problem.
Oh, it's not me. It's not me. Look at that.
Anyway, whatever.
Lisa, it's not a me problem.
In many of our spaces. So, okay.
We're live on YouTube, guys. That's all that matters.
Yeah. All right, Melissa, we're sending you to the back. Maybe Melissa will figure that out. It says this is a problem with LinkedIn.
A known issue.
They are working
It's fine.
to fix it.
It's
Whatever.
fine. We're live on YouTube. We're live. It's good. It's fine.
Anyway. Okay, all right. Lisa,
Melissa, just give everyone a link to our YouTube. It's great. Okay.
Yeah, whatever. All right. It's no problem. Okay.
Whatever.
All right. So we got this soccer image that Max made for us that we didn't use on time. But I will say, Lisa, whenever I see these images, like the fact that our faces never change, they're always the same. Like even when we're clearly like fighting each other in an image, I think it's just the best. So anyway.
I'm offended that you didn't use my corrected image, which was where you were wearing an Argentina jersey and I was wearing a Spanish jersey. But that's fine.
I don't
that's
think
fine.
I even
It's
saw
on
that.
LinkedIn. It's on LinkedIn. I responded with it. Just
I'm
to be
so
clear, in this scenario, she is Argentina and I am Spain. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness. Well, here we are. Okay. Well, anyway, everybody knows I lost, whatever. It's fine. Okay. I am scrappier though. Okay. You guys, there's been like,
you are scrappier. You are throwing more hands, just to be totally clear.
More like, Spain was like process oriented and like, more good at like
Argentina was like, what if I kicked your knees out?
Yeah. I think Argentina's vibe was more like,
what if I punched you in the neck? What if I punched you in the neck?
We got this guy. We got this one guy. He's
man.
We're hoping it works again, which I do feel like is generally my vibe. Okay, so the White House, everybody knows that like over the past couple of weeks, a lot of the ARC health services research grants were canceled. This was, obviously there were many agencies that canceled a lot of different grants. This was just the most recent. A lot of those were, of course, for academic researchers doing cool stuff. So, as a next step to that, or at least how I see as a next step, the White House has released its new science blueprint, which it calls Science, a Golden New Age, which will shift a lot of dollars and research intent to the great free private sector. Lisa, what do you think?
I'm wondering what Michael Kratsios is saying here in this picture. Because the problem is, that like, I don't disagree with some of that, like fundamentally, but there's a reason why a lot of basic science doesn't get funded by the private sector, because it doesn't result in like the capital returns in the time frame that like private companies need.
Yeah.
And it's really important, and it's like a public good. And I get it, right? Like, again, I do think there's always lots of like fluff in some of these things, but it's easy to make fun of like, this research study sounds dumb to me. That's because you're not an expert, by the way. Like, why do we need to know about this? Well, by the way, we need to know about the Gila monster's venom or whatever, their spit, because that created GLP-1s, which are freaking amazing. So
our food industry can keep selling whatever they want without regulation. We just like what?
Yeah, it's fine. We need to work on the vaccine for cyclospora, or the antibiotic for cyclospora, rather. Whatever it is, right? Like these are things that you need. It takes a long time, and you got to do a lot of basic science research and long-term research to have happen, and it doesn't really align with like capital cycles for private companies. So I disagree. Let's do more of both. We could use with more science in this country, like in every possible way.
We do need more science, and we do need more science. We should be the best at everything, as everybody knows. That's my opinion on America generally. My thoughts on this is that like people did acknowledge like there were a lot of problems with the research community, right? There's a lot of problems. There's been like a little bit of fraud going on, right? A little bit of lying. Everybody knows that. What I'll say about that is, yes, that's a problem. And they are in this new blueprint incentivizing researchers to release negative reports, which, is,
I like that.
That should be like, that's a
the replication crisis for a lot of scientific research is real. And by the way, like we shouldn't pay for stuff that you can't replicate, or we shouldn't develop that into drugs or pay for whatever outcome it is. Like if you can't replicate the outcome, maybe it wasn't real.
I do think I love the private sector. I'm here for it. If we think that fraud and lying and bad stuff going on in the academic community because of reputation, like I see that as the primary driver.
Oh my God.
I would just like to introduce you to my friends in the great free markets, of which I'm a prominent member, right? I assure you there will be more fraud, there will be more lying, and the incentives will be perverse. So
yeah, dude.
Like I'm here for it.
It's not limited to just the public sector or whatever. Like there's no way. Yeah.
I would encourage a balanced approach here. I do think we need more private sector collaboration and all that. Right. And we shouldn't rely solely on the traditional academic research engine for things. But I also think that we will see danger if we shift too far in this direction. So,
agree.
Whatever. Okay, speaking of the great free private sector and new things, peptides. peptides. So this so there's an FDA advisory panel. This does not mean the FDA has approved peptides, but an advisory panel has just barely voted yes to allow compounding of peptides, unapproved peptides. And the rationale for this is that HHS or Secretary Kennedy believes that people are doing it anyway. Why not? This is kind of my excuse for all things to not be regulated. They're going to do it anyway. Whatever. However, there is this great quote from, it seems like an actual real professor. He said it was an odd experience to watch. On one hand, you had FDA experts outlining the lack of data on BPC 157, which is one of the peptides in discussion, and the safety concerns. And you had independent scientists on the PCAC echoing those concerns. But then the ultimate yes voters seem to ignore all of that.
Seems like a kangaroo court. I would just say, I don't know what BPC 157 is, but if you had dug into this crazy world of peptides, you will be surprised in a negative way. Some of these peptides are turn my skin orange so it looks like I'm tan. Just to be totally clear, these are crazy. Some of them are heart health, whatever. Some of them are things that sound relatively normal, whether they do that or not is
my
totally
shoulder
unclear.
hurts,
Right. But some of them
shoulder.
are turn my skin orange so I look like I'm tan. We don't honestly at this point though, I feel bad for people who don't minors or people who maybe don't have a lot of science, but at some level you're if you think that injecting yourself with something Veruca salt wise or whatever, to make your skin orange is a good idea, God bless. You know what?
Yeah.
You're on your own, buddy. Do not come to the hospital when your orange tinting skin stuff goes wrong.
Yeah, because
all I gotta say
you can be very orange. You can be very tan looking with some of these peptides. So I don't know. It's unclear, but anyway, it seems interesting.
Don't
Again,
do this.
This
Don't do
mean
this.
The FDA
please.
has approved it. They can be overruled.
Regardless of what they said here. Please don't do this. Please.
Yeah.
Doctors are most doctors.
I would talk to those guys. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. Also in government news, the HHS is convening a bunch of AI experts to talk about clinical AI standards. So interesting here, a lot of companies I know that have been heavily engaged, I think it's ONC, CMS, and FDA are all collaborating on this. I know a lot of people that are heavily engaged, talking to leaders in these agencies, and none of them got invited. So I don't know who got invited.
The list was a bit concerning, but I do agree that this is really important work. I hope that the right people get engaged, because this is actually really, really important, and we're a bit of the Wild West here, as someone who lives in the Wild West.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think, whatever. I think it's good to get advice. And it sounds like they're going to do it in an interesting way where they're going to give you, you have written homework assignments, and then you get to go to the convening, I think is what I read. So, cool. Speaking of AI, so I do not know this publication, but Lisa and I received a hot tip about it's, oh shit, did I cut off what it actually is? Hold on, let me see. It looks like the hot sheets of AI, which clearly I'm into, you guys, because AI Industry Watch, breg.com is the name of the outlet. Anyway, we don't know. This could be the hot sheets. We don't know. We also have hot sheets. It's called His Talk, and they're hilarious and real. So we don't know. But we did get a hot tip from a loyal fan saying OMG, is this bad? This Mayo Clinic thing. We should be clear. This has not gone to.
This is a whistleblower complaint lawsuit where somebody who was working there, whose job was compliance and governance and oversight, said that they were moving forward on something without appropriate governance, and that when she complained, this is a whistleblower lawsuit. So everything is alleged, just to be clear. This is not a final finding, but this has been making the rounds, and it made its way to us because we are obviously number one fake news show, Gossip Moggers.
Yeah, 100%. They were hey, we found this AI industry hot sheets. Seems like you guys would know each other. But anyway, some of the alleged bad things are a concealed 67% error rate in Mayo's internal AI tool, Maya, and some other weird stuff. So who knows? I mean, it is very clear this has not gone to trial. There's nothing has been. It's just an allegation, but interesting stuff. And I mean, a good reason that we should have some thoughtful rules around the AI.
Yes.
All right, FDA tempo stuff. Lisa, I feel like you should talk about this because you posted.
So this is a big deal. So Tempo is this accelerated program that's connected to CMS Access, which Mendel also knows a lot about. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. And it's really it's really exciting because it's going to allow a more an accelerated pathway to gathering these clinical results that are used for then future full FDA approval. It's a limited pilot just for use in the confines of the CMS Access program. Obviously, they have rules and guidelines around that, and there's all kinds of things related to it. It's an easier pathway to start in a very controlled manner, bringing in and expanding devices connected to the CMS Access program. And CMS Access launch, there was all this news about who's going to be in it, blah, blah, blah. And there was crickets about the Tempo program.
People thought it wasn't going to happen.
Did it go away? And absolute crickets. And then just out of the blue yesterday, woo, we have our first participant selected for Tempo. And their announcement, as you can see here, does not say who it is. And you're that's great. It's Dexcom, which is a very, very familiar CGM company, totally not new, has other FDA approved products, it's actually a very not risky in air quotes. And this is all, again, my opinion, alleged, don't believe me, I'm a fake news person, whatever.
We are not real reporters.
Yeah, not real news. But just Dexcom is I would say probably a very low risk, relatively speaking. It's not a brand new device company that no one's ever heard of. This is a company that's been doing this work for a long time. And so for whatever reason, they have a particular glucose related device that has been accepted into the Tempo program. And what we don't know, and maybe someone knows, and if you do, let me know, that which participants is Dexcom working with, because they themselves are not an access participant. So they must be partnering with one of the other participants to do this. So it's very interesting, cool. It's funny that FDA was we will not endorse Dexcom. I mean, I don't think it's an endorsement if you say that they're the first participant. You have to do 1 or 2 clicks here to find it. So whatever. But that's bearing the lead here. It's Dexcom who's the first announced Tempo participant alongside Access. So
glad this actually is happening because we just said, people were
does it exist? I don't know.
Yeah. Here we are. Yeah. Okay, we got a cool acronym here called ASP. That's coming to the view. I stole this from Brendan Keeler, as per you.
Amazing.
He did some coverage of ClinicalCare's decision to tell screen scrapers and other body type things. I say body as in BOT -Y, not bod. That you can't just come in and tag along and scrape all the shit without an authorized pathway to do so. One of those pathways is ASP. Lisa, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, this is the decision that came down based on some lawsuit activity where with other companies that were doing this. And fundamentally with I think it's HTA5 that still hasn't been fully finalized. What's going on, my friends? There's an indication that ONC and HHS in general are going to say, if you stop screen scraping, that could be information blocking. They don't say it is information blocking, but they say that would probably fall into that category. I am sure there is extensive amounts of lobbying and talking and discussing and sharing of information behind the scenes here that's happening still. But the point being, you don't get a carte blanche to say sorry, any screen scraping is not allowable, even if it is in fact a performance or a security issue, which I would probably argue that it is. So what Point Click Care and I assume others have done or will done is they said, all right, we can't stop you, from doing this. But we can enforce the terms and conditions of our software, right? Our customers signed, these agreements, and it's our job as well to keep things safe and secure. So they've created this authorized screen scraping program of sorts where
Yeah.
you have, if you want to do screen scraping, you need to like register with them. And I presume they didn't give more information. I presume that they're going to be like checking to see like, you know, whatever security and privacy and performance issues would arise from that. So they're creating like even another like pathway for folks to get access to these data, and they're banning particular types of browser extensions. I assume programmatically is pretty trivial to do that, but just let's be clear about what this is. There is a basic level of like API integration or integration of various types that these EHRs, including point click care, already offer, where they say, okay, we know that under the law, like we have to share information, no information blocking rule. And so here's our pathways to get data, get information from common joint customers. And this is what it looks like. Here's our API. Here's our this, here's our that. And then there are companies who just say like, I don't even want to do that. I just want to do screen scraping. So what happens is like the joint customers provide their login credentials, if you know anything
You
about like
shouldn't do
internet
that.
security, like do not give your password. If you learned anything, if you work in like anything related to like IT business, you've used a computer in your life, please do not give your password to anyone. I'm serious. And also, please use a password manager. It is 2026, almost 2027. Like, come on. Anyway, point being, they're giving their login and credentials to somebody. And then that company is like literally logging in programmatically with the RPA with the computer and like reading what's on the screen. This is like patient information, y'all. And that's allowable. Okay. So like, just that's my little rant over.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think that's
mean,
safe. It's just
yeah.
whatever. Point
And
is,
like, you know,
that's what's happening.
yeah, and you know, as we are not real reporters, nor do we have editorial
Totally.
standards here, but conflict of
Correct.
interest alert or whatever. Point Click Care is a client of mine who I actually love very much. They're a really good company, and they acquired Collective Medical, of which I was on the leadership team. And they're good people. And I'll say that like they're not shitty. This is not like a fly by night startup that's doing this. And like if you look in most
Whatever. Like, all that aside, the law and the regulation is like pointing in the direction of saying like screen scraping. If you ban screen scraping, that could be considered information blocking. And now companies are trying to react and
authorized
find
pathway.
something. Yeah.
Authorized pathway.
Yeah.
And also like, again, like Lisa said, like, you know, don't give your password out to like random fly by night companies that someone vibe coded like overnight. But also like, yeah, like remember you signed a service agreement. Like remember what your terms, the T's and C's, as we always say. Like, I don't know, like it doesn't mean it just be, you don't just get to do what you want all the time. And I think that's evident here. So also love
That's
this.
right.
And then, as Brendan said in his blog about this, his Substack, you know, his thing is like, yeah, you can say Point Click Care was the first, but they're not going to be the last to do this. Like all of the large vendors are probably thinking of something to do here. They may just not have been as public about it yet. So anyway, more to come. We'll see what happens here. But I do love this graphic. I think it's hilarious, especially given our soccer image earlier. Okay, other random industry news. We have moved from we have a new family planning message at the great federal government. Now we're focusing on marriage and starting families.
If you thought I was getting shouty about like RPA and browser extensions, do you want me to get shouty about this, Kat?
I would obviously love it. I love conflict in all forms.
Listen,
Yeah, this is like super scary.
No thanks, man. No thanks. Like it's actually a huge public health like triumph for there not to be more like solo teen parents running around out there, like educational outcomes, financial outcomes, family stability, you name
Birth
it.
control.
All those things are better when people have the ability to control, you know, when they have kids and so on and so forth. Sure, I think it's great for the government, for society, for everybody to support having more kids, more families. And we also need to find ways to make that possible in terms of our society and our economy and all those things. But let's
like
be factual here.
Childcare.
Like childcare. If you want, you know, like you want to follow the science, we need to be honest with, you know, kids and teens and adults about how birth control works and make it available to them and let people choose.
Yeah.
The end.
Yep. I disagree with this messaging. That is what I'll say
Correct.
about that. No, thank you. Okay, we got some Chat GPT news getting sued. I mean, I think all the AIs are getting sued, but this was a case that I think was a little bit more prominent. And then also Chat GPT announced Chat GPT for health, I think just yesterday or the day before. So got some AI for health stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, until we have some kind of guidelines around this in this country, this is going to keep happening. And that's really scary, right? Like, I mean, when it gets harder to access healthcare as it has been, people are going to always continue to look for other things. And for whatever it's worth, these like chatbots are taking a much more confident and direct tone when they're opining about health issues, which is concerning. Yeah, not great.
Yeah, not sure here. I mean, it does include a disclaimer, apparently, that like, hey, this is not to be used to diagnose. But I don't know. This is tricky. As you know, Lisa, even with social media companies, I'm like, it's the individual's responsibility to like figure their shit out. However, we have seen them continuously ruled against, and it's unclear to me why that hasn't happened so significantly yet with the AIs, except that it's new and the administration is friendly to them. That's my guess. So we'll see what happens there. Okay. Also, can I just say like this? So I'm an advisor to Photon, also full disclosure. I don't know,
alert, y'all.
I don't know this Kat Thorpe. I know, but like, I will just say Photon.
Her name is Kat. Her name is Kat, number one.
People, this is also a photo that I would have posted. So I don't know this Kat Thorpe, but I feel
you guys are like psychically connected.
Yeah, I feel like, yes, I don't know what you're doing here on the farm, girl, but like I am into it. I also love farm equipment, but I will say one of the reasons I'm highlighting this is just because like Photon just goes for it.
They're just so good. They're just we often, and I am not conflicted. I just like them. I don't have any. I'm not an advisor to Photon. I'm just a fan. And I just love their vibe. And this is just like they're blasting this one out. They got like a 10-year SureScripts veteran, and then they're like, yeah, like she's with us now, and she hates you guys. Like it's just so funny. It's so good.
Generally love the vibe.
Their vibes are so good. Their vibes are so good.
Yeah,
I love them. Love them.
Anyway, moving on. Okay. All right. So we got some nominations. Some nominations delayed. All of them delayed. So it was reported that Cassidy is now willing to support Erica Schwartz, nominated CDC director. Her vote was supposed to be Wednesday, and it was delayed because Murkowski had a family emergency and just like couldn't come. So, but it is likely to happen that we will finally have a confirmed CDC director again, which is very exciting. As we reported last week, Dr. Schwartz was a little bit dodgy with some of the direct questions about whether or not she would stand up for science.
A no-win situation for Dr. Schwartz.
Yeah. So tricky stuff.
No win.
Yeah. I mean, what's she gonna say?
But
yeah, so tricky stuff. But it does look like this one's gonna get pushed through. I think the vote is supposed to be next week, so that'll be exciting for everybody involved. The Asper guy, I don't think the Asper guy is gonna make it. I don't think anyone liked the Asper guy. I mean, I don't know him. Sean Kaufman. We're not friends. I've never met him, but his performance was not good and not even neutral, it appeared. So and also had some pretty dicey stuff on the internet. This is why I will never be an elected official or anything.
Yeah, dude, don't look at my internet history. There's nothing good there.
If you want to
I can never be nominated for anything for lots of reasons.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, unless the internet blows up or something. But anyway, it doesn't look like this guy's going to make it, but we'll see what happens. And then we also have Mark Cruz for the IHS, and this is likely to move forward. So it'll be nice. It'll be nice to have that done. At least one of the nominations going through. I have heard that Mark Cruz is very well respected, so that's great news for America. Also, I wanted to highlight this piece of news. This is unrelated to health tech, really, but something that I really care about is the great free press. Sorry, cat here. And as many of you may have heard, the New York Times, while overseas, got wind that the new Air Force One, that we got a luxury jet going on here, donated to the president. Was it a discount or was it donated? I can't remember.
I think it was. I actually think it was donated. Huh?
Yeah. Anyway, so it turns out that a New York Times reporter discovered or got a hot tip and worked some leads and found out that the new Air Force One may not have all the defenses that, or the defensive systems and all the fancy stuff that the old, not donated or not discounted Air Force One had. So they switched planes. And there was some security flaws, whatever. The U.S. AG, I think, then subpoenaed the New York Times to try to give them their sources, citing national security. The New York Times, as they have always done, refused to give up their sources, and so had been publicly fighting this, which honestly is like freaking bullshit. Like we need the great free press, and so this
Free
came
press,
out, I think,
baby.
yeah, like I am like, not that the talk show is free press.
We are not. We are neither press nor free. In fact,
but I firmly believe that like we really need great free media, and we need to protect the First Amendment. And so the U.S. has withdrawn those subpoenas to the New York Times. So I think there's a win for journalism, a win for America.
That's good.
So
that's
good stuff. And maybe a win for the talk show. Although y'all, we probably will give up our sources. So if we're
we like, as we have said, like, we are not a real news show. We are not real media. We are not the free press, and we take sponsorships. So like, there's no way.
Yeah, that's who we are.
It's fine.
Anyway, okay. All right. Now we're going to bring our real actual live guest on, who is going to tell us some things.
Real actual live guest.
He's back. Mendel's back. Oh my gosh. He's still here. He didn't decline.
He didn't leave.
He didn't sign off. He wasn't
I'm still here and fascinated by the tempo that you guys go at here. This is, for those that are tuning in for your first time, unlike me, who watches this every single week, this is just the clip that you guys move at. This is awesome. So that was very fun.
Yep. Spiritually New York.
The few times someone wants to give us money, which is like, 3 times a year or so, they often ask if they can participate in the news show. And we're like, I don't know if you want to, because we don't know what we're going to say. We have not collaborated on these news stories prior.
Listen, people pay for all types of things, If someone's offering you the money, take the money.
No. So Mendel, you can tell us whatever you want on the talk show. As you know, like, we don't have a plan here, and we're just going to think about things and say things. But we are interested in your thoughts on the physician fee schedule. And some of the comments that you made on RPM specifically, because when we first saw that, well, I can't say when Lisa first saw it and texted me to tell me it was out, the first thing she said was, "Holy shit, did you see they just wiped like pen stroke risk on RPM?" And then I saw your post. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, so that text was received by many from many. But they all said the same thing. And so there was only 2 words on every single text about this. So yeah, definitely, I think pretty shocking to a lot of folks in the industry. I have a lot to say on it, but I think it comes down to like the core. I think the core question is the same thing that I've been yelling about on the copay. So I'm going to talk about a side thing for a second, okay? These programs, CCM, RPM, whatever, they all have a copay, okay? 80% of eligible patients for these programs don't have a secondary insurance, which means that they're going to have a copay. That copay is like between $8 and $16 a month. And that $8 to $16 a month is a lot of money for the people that are on these programs, and they don't want to pay it. And so 80% of the patients that are eligible for the program don't end up getting these programs because of the copay. And so the question that I've always asked is like, I don't understand. If something costs you money and you want to share that cost, right? So then like a copay makes sense. But the idea of a preventive care program is to save money. That is the idea, right? So make up your mind. Like, does it save you money, or is it like a charity case program? And if it's a charity case program and it doesn't save you money and it's a giant liability and a giant just item on the on the cost sheet, then cancel it. Like, why are you paying any money for it? And if it is saving you money, why would you stop 80% of people from joining the program? And I am concerned that fundamental question has never been answered. If you do deep research on what is the actual ROI of these programs, the information out there is pretty scanty and just not very cohesive. There's reports and things like that. Now, when you bring it back to like first principles and just like logic, right? It makes perfect sense. Hey, there's a patient. They're not engaged in their healthcare. If you reach out to them and you build a trusting, wonderful, beautiful relationship on behalf of their doctor, clued in with their provider, where it's obvious that you're like part of their care, and you talk to them and try to get them to change their behaviors around medication adherence, diet, exercise, whatever, stick to their care plan, makes sense that they're probably going to do that. And it also makes sense that if you know, that if they're thinking, hey, do I go to the ER? Instead of going to the ER, they might call the person who they think they have a relationship with, which is going to drive down costs. Like, that makes sense to me, right? But there hasn't been until now with AI, which I think there is the ability to do this now, but up until now, there just hasn't been the technology to actually run these experiments at scale and prove it.
Yeah.
And so I think that is the fundamental question that still needs, that case has not been made properly. And I think that's what's coming in to feed this, like, hey, should we rethink this entire program? So I've got specific thoughts, but I'll pause there.
Well, I think one flag for people, the access model, which we've been talking about before in the show, you know, has as do most, there's a bunch of waivers usually involved with CMMI models, and there is a copay waiver in access. So it's not just RPM. Access is more than RPM, but nearly all, if not all, participants will be waiving the copay requirement for the Medicare fee-for-service beneficiaries who are part of that program and that model. So just like, that's a note, is like, yes, there is probably a technical way to fix it on the RPM, like Medicare fee-for-service side, but CMMI access model allows the waiver for copays, which may allow us then to really, again, the goal, right, is to do these really structured evaluations to understand, does this program save money and improve quality of care, improve outcomes, right? Like, so there is something on the other side of that, which is people are obviously making that connection between these proposed RPM changes and the access model, trying to get started and trying to be successful.
Yeah, and I'll just note that there's a very, very obvious reason why they gave you the option. So just to clarify, you can't choose based on the patient. It's basically a go or no go.
Yes
on the
or no.
copay,
Yeah.
Which I actually thought was really interesting. But there's a very obvious reason why they've allowed that. And the answer is because of the OAPs, because of this new, you know, revolutionary concept called these outcome aligned payments, which is how they're paying for the access model, which is basically do you save me money? I will pay you a percentage. And if not, not.
Yeah.
And my feedback you know, this is not really a plug because we did this and it was awesome. And, you know, you should have been there, but it was the CARE conference that we did a couple months ago right next to the White House at the Willard. It was awesome. And so
Love the Willard.
Yeah, it was
At
great.
her favorite place that she wasn't
He
there?
knows.
Oh,
He knows. No,
my
no,
God.
no. He invited us.
Yeah.
We were unavailable. We did. Yeah, we did. And yeah.
Wow. I can't believe you didn't go. It was at the Willard. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It was so awesome. It was so awesome.
It wasn't going to work. But no, it looked like an amazing conference, by the way. So keep going.
Thank you. It was my anti-conference. And so basically we had Jacob and Abe and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And my feedback that I kept pressing is like, you're making two bets in the access model for the price of one. And I think that irks me a little bit. So every single person with a brain that is not trying to scam the government will 100% agree with like the OAP concept. Brilliant. Yes. Beautiful. Like prove, track, pay me for outcomes, like all that kind of stuff. Great. But the part that they didn't really communicate is which kind of came out after, but they were really, really shy on it for a long time, was the very obvious fact that this is also a bet on pure agentic care coordination. And if you take the OAP concept and you just throw it on top of APCM, you pretty much have the perfect model for patients, assuming that you don't believe that all care can be done agentically. So there's also another question here that I think is a fundamental like misalignment or disagreement between folks, which is like, can all care coordination be done agentically in the present future? Yes or no? I've been very, very loud about my opinion, which is no. I think there's a massive difference between what I call inbound conversations versus outbound conversations with patients. Inbound conversations is what I translate a patient that knows they need something, they reach out, they're engaged, like they're 90% there. You just have to fill that gap. Go do that agentically, cool. But those are not your problem patients. The patients that know they need something and they're calling you to get their medication refilled are not the ones that are not taking their meds and ending up in the ER. So
the ones you can't reach, the ones who don't reach out, the ones who don't respond immediately, where you have to go and find them.
Exactly. And so those are what I call outbound patients, the ones that you have to exert effort to get in touch with them. A, like you said, Lisa. B, convince them you're not a scam. Pretty difficult actually with senior folks. See, I saw this great reel where it was like senior folks these days, whenever they touch a phone and it was just an old person and they get a call and then they just start reading their social security number.
Date of birth, social security number, Medicare number. Oh.
And the person's like, I don't need any of that. They're like, why are you calling me that? I don't understand. But anyway, yeah, those are like, convince them you're not a scam, build a relationship with them over multiple touch points to get to a point where you can change their behavior. And like that stuff is superhuman. So I think coming back to the access model, you know, I wish that they would take the OAP concept and drop that on top of advanced primary care model, because the other thing that everyone likes about advanced primary care is it's not time-based, because time-based is also really stupid. Like who decided that the 20 minutes is like the magical number that cures all chronic conditions? And if it's 19 minutes, everyone dies. 20 minutes, everyone lives. Like I did a whole skit about this on YouTube, and it's, yeah. But anyways, so I don't know.
No, I totally agree. I like you're totally onto something. It's really hard. It's really hard to try to test multiple big ideas simultaneously. And of course, right, I'm sure there's a lot of pressure within the administration to, you know, align with this the bigger initiative, right, to move AI forward across healthcare. Like I know there is. I don't even mean that in a disparaging
100%.
way. Just like I know that is, you know, part of the thesis of what we do here. And I get it. At the same time, access has been framed around AI like kind of by the public versus necessarily by Abe and Jacob and their team. I mean, Jacob's job title notwithstanding, but like if you read the participant, if you read the PA, like it's not like you have to use AI. It's just like our reimbursement rates aren't very high and we're paying on outcomes.
So,
you know what I mean?
So I actually, and this is really not a shameless plug, I actually think this was really cool. So, and this is 100% to Jacob's absolute credit. Okay. So here's a little background story. I invite him and Abe and everyone to speak at the CARE conference, right? And I tell him before, I'm like, look, this was right after the reimbursement rates dropped. Okay. We did it at the end of March. And so I'm like, look, I want to have you on stage. And the other thing I did was like no panels, only one-on-ones, like real conversation.
That's awesome. Panels are the worst.
Oh yeah. Everyone just trying to make each other feel smart. It sucks. So I'm like, look, Jacob, I want to do this, but I know like this is a room representing like 15 million patients, all in like actual care management, people that are actually doing the work, not conference people. And I know the actual questions, and it's not like the talking points. So if you're okay with, which most government people are not okay with this, I'm like, if you'd be okay, like if you'd be comfortable being a little uncomfortable and like being a little like, you know, real, I think this is going to be amazing. And to his absolute credit, he's like, Mendel, like go for it. Like there's nothing. So we get on stage and we start going back and forth, and I start pushing back and he starts answering, and we get pretty heated. Like people's like jaws are like on the floor. Like we're like pretty much going at it. And it got to a point where I felt like, look, at the end of the day, there's a line. I'm not trying to become hostile. You know, like we clearly disagreed about some things, but I wasn't going to push it past a certain kind of line. So he said whatever response it was, and I kind of stopped, but he could tell, I don't know if I like kind of rolled my eyes or something, but he could tell that I wasn't happy. And on stage, he turns to me and he's like, come on, Mendel, amp it up. Like you want, and I was like, okay. And so we just launched into this thing. So my point is, I think that talk is really, really worth watching, Lisa. And it's very, very clear that it is a bet on AI. Like very clear.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that pushback. I think I always come back to like, read the actual, like, yes, and the PA does not say it. I mean, maybe they can't, but like it's just like, and we pushed on that too, right? We pushed on when we talked to Abe and Gita in our deleted tapes from what conference was that? Was that
they weren't deleted? No. We just always have technical difficulties, but we did have Abe.
I'm just calling them our deleted tapes.
Yeah, they were real. They're real. They're on the internet. You can find them. But you
just can't hear anything. You have to do like lip reading.
And to be clear, they both know that this is a ridiculous fake news show too. Right?
They also know it's a ridiculous fake news show.
Back, like, you know, Abe gave us the canned response 3 times, and I was like,
come on, buddy.
You know, and we asked ridiculous questions, and you know, we were not quite as that sounds awesome, what you were able to do with Jacob, but we did not go that hard. Also, you know, it's the freaking talk show, like whatever. But I mean, Mendel, I'm with you. Like especially with the rural health program too, the rural health transformation program. I also think that's a semi-inappropriate bet on AI, right? For like a lot of different reasons, right? I'm grateful for the money. I know the states are grateful too, but it is a bet on AI, and it's a bet on AI in areas of the country that one can't even process that much money that fast. And, you know, these are very complex individuals, complex regions with like real problems, and you can't just AIify it.
AIify. So,
yeah. So, I mean, again, grateful for the opportunity. And like, I hope I'm wrong, because I am not anti-AI. I just think that like we should be open with where the American public is and where patients broadly are with that kind of stuff. And not push it too hard. But I hope I'm wrong.
So let's go back to this proposed rule for a moment. So what's interesting is that everyone is focusing in on the kind of highlight, which was boom. We're proposing that you're not allowed to use third-party contractors. It has to be direct employees, right? And my thoughts on it, and I immediately threw together. I know a lot of people did, but I put together a little nine folks. We've got some friends from a bunch of companies that are doing this stuff, and we think we're doing a good job at this stuff. And so we put together a little mastermind and collaborating on some responses and things. But let's talk about that for a moment. So there are still two things that are just remain true. Like the first thing is that it is nearly impossible for small to medium-sized practices to do this stuff themselves. They've tried. I've run a business. The one that I sold was an RPM and CCM services company. I am I think only person in the industry that actually filmed a course on how to do this thing yourself and not hire me. Okay.
I remember hearing about that.
I love that.
I heard
That's so great.
that.
Yeah. And you're like, please,
still
here's how you do
hired
this. Don't hire me. You're like, don't hire me.
And it was a lot of fun.
It's
We built a
amazing.
studio, and I flew down
That's so
my
good.
chief of this, that, and the other. We all filmed it. And I did the business case for it, and they
So
did the clinical
good.
side for it. And I was like, here's how you stand this up in your practice. Go do it, right? And the bottom line is that it is a totally different business model. Like the business model of a doctor's office is reactive. It's patients coming in. You're like, it's a totally different thing than standing up the infrastructure, the staffing, the technology to put on this preventive care program. And so it simply doesn't work. And that is fundamentally true. That is first of all. Second of all, what everyone is kind of commenting on is, if anyone that knows anything knows that, so this is pointing based off an OIG report about fraud. And this admin is 100% about fraud. They've done a lot of good work. So it makes sense that they're very sensitive to it. However, let's think about this for a moment. So I'm a fraudster and I'm trying to scam the government and milk as much money from CMS as possible. And I have two options in front of me. Okay, don't clip this because I'm not. Okay, don't clip that part. I'm playing someone for a moment. Okay, so
Great.
So
Got it.
We don't even know how to clip.
I have two options in front of me. Option number one is I go to some poor cardiologist who has 2,000 Medicare patients and is running their practice all day, every day, and has been doing this for 60 years, right? And I go to Dr. Whoever, and I'm like, Dr. Whoever, I want to do remote patient monitoring for you. Here's the pitch. And they're like, okay, they give me the contract. Now that doctor, turns out, cares about his license and cares about his patients because he's been doing this a while and he's like a real doctor, right? And so I now have to answer to that doctor. He's expecting compliance. He's expecting reports. He's expecting notes in the EHR. He's expecting documentation. He's expecting patients to be happy and not complaining. And I have to follow all that stuff. I owe all that to him. And then for all of that, I'm charging, on CCM, the average rate is that third party is charging is 30 to 32 bucks is basically where people are at. RPM, it's somewhere similar per CPT code. So let's say 65 bucks for RPM. And after all that, I'm only collecting anywhere from 40 to 60% of the full reimbursement code. And it's never a percentage, it's a flat rate, of course. But that's where I'm at, right? So that's option one for me. I got to answer to this guy and I got to do all this compliance stuff. Option two is I just go and open my own PC and hire my own rent a doctor. And I stand up a whole practice for the simple purposes of billing RPM. I answer to nobody. Nobody's looking at me for compliance. And I just do that. And I don't care about the patient. So they could have a terrible experience or whatever. And I just do the cheapest, most terrible program that I can until I get shut down. Which one of those options do I do? Obviously B.
This sounds like how companies pull data off the national networks too. They're just like, oh, I have to follow the rules. I'll just get a provider with an MPI. It's
not a joke. I had a guy. I put out a video a couple months ago, or maybe it was a year ago, called "Waste, Fraud, and Abuse in CCM and RPM." Okay, and that was the kickoff of my relationship with Amy Gleason, and I list all these things, all the experience I've had of real fraud. And one of the craziest stories, I was talking to a guy, and he runs nursing homes. Okay, and he tells me how one day the FBI shows up at his door and just starts digging through his office. And he's like, what are you guys looking for? And it turns out that a vendor, he had no idea, a vendor to him who was providing some random thing, whether it was medical device or something, was just stealing all the patients' profiles and just billing RPM on them. Okay. And so the FBI, but under him. So not under him, but all the patients were by him. So the FBI comes showing up at his door. Anyway, yes, there's a lot of fraud, but the fraud is not coming from folks that are having to answer to doctors who actually are established doctors.
Who are seeing patients for non-RPM purposes.
Yes, like an actual primary care
100%.
doctor or a cardiologist. Like the fraud is going to come from the people. If you my point is that if you incentivize that the only way to do this is to stand up your own is to bill for it yourself and be the billing provider. The other truth is still there. The other truth is that you can't do it yourself. So that means that there's still a ton of patients out there that are not receiving the service from their doctor. Now you're basically creating the incentive structure for fraudsters to just open up RPM shops and go and start billing RPM. And so if I'm CMS and you tell that to me, would I turn around and say, okay, great. So we're going to start cracking down on the doctors that are providing remote patient monitoring. And my response is, yay, do that thing, but do that now. Like do that. Go figure out who should be doing the program and then like, and get tighter about that. Because of course no one wants fraud, right?
Right. So is there truth to the rumor we've heard, like the text whispering that like the feds are also a little bit mad at RPM companies that did not sign up for access, and they're trying to just push them in?
So, and I want to say something else. Lisa, you were kind of talking about this a little bit, and I have a little bit of an update. A lot of people immediately feel like this is a conspiracy to shut down RPM to push towards access. Is the undercurrent of the
conversation here? We talked about this yesterday. Yeah.
I'm not going to name because I didn't ask him if I can quote him, but I got off yesterday with like a fairly senior person up at HHS who's really involved, and it's not CMMI my people, but very involved. And he said, absolutely not. Like absolutely not. This is exactly what it says. It's about fraud, and they're trying to get rid of it and like go. And he was like, the comments that I plan on making, which is like, A, make the case why this is valuable to patients as from the perspective of third-party contractors.
Sure.
Go do that. And then like, B, why, if anything, it's the other side there that's doing fraud. He's like, yeah, 100%. That's the way to go. So I do want to put that out there.
Okay, so for everyone who's interested in this and I think this is important and should continue, we need to make the case why this can drive and has been driving real outcomes, and how to distinguish between the fraudulent activity, the wasteful activity, and activity that actually supports work that's happening. Okay, Health Tech Talk Show fam, like this is your goal in responding to the Medicare physician fee schedule. Write those comments.
Make
those
something.
Meetings.
Yeah, make it happen. Go have some meetings.
We have to, though, because this is, I mean, like, I do think that they are inclined to try to, finalize the proposals that they've made. And they do. And by the way, like people who work in the regulatory space at HHS, they may be experts who have been doing this for some time. They may have been doing this for some time in government. They do need to hear from people who are doing this work on the ground. They really do.
Yep.
And they listen to that, too. They were required to read everything, and they're required to respond to it.
Yep. There's one other point that I think is worth mentioning because no one's talking about it. And that is there's a second piece to this that is described, and that is the complete restructuring of the reimbursement model for these codes. Okay. So actually I didn't even notice this. My friend Connor from Coach Care brought this up to me, and in that little group that I made, Lisa. And I dug into it. And so let me just break it down for some folks. So the way that these reimbursement codes happen, it was actually used to be from the AMA. They actually own like you guys know this. They
CPT.
Yeah, they own the CPT codes. And then they also do the research on a suggested reimbursement amount. Funny story, a bunch of years ago, I found myself sitting on a plane next to the guy at the AMA who came up with the RPM codes, which is really
cool. My God.
Yeah. And that's side story. But the point is that they are suggesting completely getting rid of some things. And there's two elements to this. Some codes, they are recommending that you do something called a crosswalk of the inputs that go into the calculation. Okay. So a calculation for reimbursement is typically made up of three things: the RVUs for what this costs for the doctor.
The relative value units, which are long debated. Yep.
Thank you. The second piece, which is the important one here, is called PE, which is the practice expense. So what is actually the expense of the program? And the third thing is RVUs, but around like liability insurance and stuff like that. So that's the third piece. And so for a couple of these codes, they are recommending either completely getting rid of the PE, the practice expense element of this input, or doing something called a crosswalk, which is to instead of using what they're currently using to create that cost, to compare it to a different code. Okay. And the codes that they are suggesting they plan on basically taking 99453, which is the setup and education code, and they're trying to crosswalk that to 99473, which is because I pulled the stuff up. That is about patient education and collaboration for self-measured blood pressure monitoring. Okay. So there's a couple codes that are reimbursable when patients themselves are the ones that are kind of doing this program. Okay. So the other important one is they're trying to crosswalk 99454 with something called 99474. Okay. And that's probably the most consequential. And then for the other ones, they're planning on just getting rid of the practice expense entirely. So the programs that they're comparing these to are inherently much less labor intensive. So it's like if the patient, it goes back to inbound versus outbound kind of thing. If the patient themselves is setting up the program, then they don't like, of course, there's less expense going into it. So the reimbursement is going to be lower. So they're kind of hitting from both sides. And I think the second side people are not really looking at. The first side is they're saying doctors themselves are going to be having to put these people on their payroll, which is added expense. All of a sudden you're trying to inject a foreign workflow into a doctor's office. And then from the other side, they're also saying, and also we're going to compare a pretty labor intensive program to a pretty much not labor intensive program. And we're going to try to match the reimbursement to the lower program. So we're going to crush the reimbursement and we're going to make it more expensive by doing it in-house. And so I think people need to dig into that as well a little bit.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting one. I mean, I think, there's outside of RPM, there's a lot of consequential stuff as well in the physician fee schedule. So definitely a lot to dig through. And it's due back, I think, in September. Big headaches.
But I do want to just, you've hit on this pretty hard, Mendel, which I love. And that's that, I 100% agree with you that these small and medium-sized practices, which I think we need more of generally, I don't think we need mega practices. I think consolidation is kind of bad. They don't do this stuff on their own. So if we think that there's value in it, I think, I agree. I'm so confused, all because what is the fraud burden? How much fraud is being attributed to RPM? Do we know?
I didn't see a
I
specific
don't think
number.
we'd have a number against that right now. I mean, it's. I don't think we have a number that we can attribute it to it right now. I mean, I don't know I don't know the percentage that's fraudulent or whatever. I'm sure HHS has an idea.
I'd love to see that. And to your point, Mendel, there's not really great data on what the ROI is. So I would just love to see some numbers. I would just love to see. I know numbers lie. I'm here for that, but I would also just love to see something.
Yeah, I think all the back and forth, there's the kernel of truth here. And that is the industry needs to prove to the government that there is an ROI. Because the vibe that's coming off this, whether overtly or whatever, is almost like buyer's remorse. Like you locked yourself into a long contract for a service that you don't really think you're actually getting the benefit of. And you're like, I can't really cancel this, but how do I change the rules to make it that I don't have to pay for it anymore? And you wouldn't be saying that if you were sure of the value. So I think the industry needs to put up some numbers.
Right. Into it. Well, yeah. What else? We've got 3 whole minutes here. You can say whatever you want.
Other than that, I have no opinion on the matter.
Well, I think that's great.
Amazing.
Well, if you don't have anything else exciting to tell us, it sounds like you'll be at the great Making Health Tech Great Again event next week. We're excited to see you.
Excited to see you as well. Yeah, that should be fun. I'm going to head down there Monday. Good 4-hour drive, and luckily for me,
lucky you guys. I have to fly on Sunday just to make it.
Yeah, and Elon drives me
I'm just
now because I'm a new Model Y convert. So Elon drives me around.
So he's going to drive you basically, more or less.
My car drives itself too. I've been a convert for 1.5 years. Lisa's like, don't let it drive you. I'm like, this car drives better than me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Am I allowed to say publicly that I sleep every single trip?
You're allowed to do whatever you want. This is a fake news show.
Allegedly,
totally fine.
Allegedly. I put on sunglasses and I fall asleep pretty much every
Now
time.
You got it.
Now you got it. My car yells at me all the time if I'm wearing
sunglasses with eyes on them.
I feel like it. Okay. Well, I haven't tried, and I probably won't.
You can't look at your phone. This is why I always fall asleep, because you're not driving, but you're not allowed to look at your phone. What else am I going to do? What am I going to do? Unless I'm on the phone talking to somebody, I'm going to fall asleep. So it looks at the pitch of your head. Elon, don't listen to this. Don't make it better. It looks at the pitch of your head, and then it follows your eyeballs. So if you have, you can't follow your eyeballs. But my biggest problem in life now is my head falling. So I got to get a strap and tie it to the chair so that I can stay in one place.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no. And over here in my household, we're the only ones who are getting we got the Volvo EX30 yesterday. We're the only ones who are getting the few remaining other EVs on the market after we got rid of our Teslas a few years ago. We're the only ones. It's just us.
My Tesla.
Just us.
I love it. I don't know if I can.
I love EVs, man.
I
So
rented
much
a car
better.
for 2 weeks, when I was up in Massachusetts, and I was like, this car doesn't drive itself, and it takes gas. Like, I didn't even know what to do. It was so confusing.
And you have to
And
like use the pedal. It's awful to drive. It's
yeah, the
not fun to drive
braking,
them.
like you
Ugh.
actually have to brake in a real car. It's
No,
super weird. I have
no.
started
One pedal
listening to
driving is way
more.
better.
I listen to audio. I mean, I don't drive very much at all, but when I do, and when the car drives itself, which is always, I do listen to audiobooks. But I will say, like, I've been trying to listen to really long, complex ones to keep me engaged. But I'm listening to The Power Broker right now, the Robert Moses book.
Oh, that's a good one.
But a mistake to listen on audiobook, I think, because I'm just like, Jesus Christ.
It's
when are we
so
gonna stop?
long.
Oh
It's
my
so
God.
long. Oh, it's
Anyway,
so good.
all right. Well, safe travels, America. Maybe we'll see you next week. It's unclear, but we'll see at least each other, which is very exciting. And Mendel, I know you. So you have a podcast. You've got all kinds of stuff. People can find all of your thoughts and feelings on the internet. How else can they find you?
Yeah, Healthcare Trailblazers is what I consider to be the number one podcast in Valley-based care. We recently had Dr. Oz on and Tom Keene and a bunch of cool folks in Gleason. And check that out. That's a lot of fun. Otherwise, careco.ai if you're interested in upping your care coordination or care management initiatives. And LinkedIn. I don't know.
Awesome. Yeah. Love it. All right. Well,
Very
hey, thanks
cool.
for being here. Thanks for sharing all your thoughts and feelings. And we look forward to having you as a regular guest on our amazing fake news show. Happy weekend, America. We'll talk to you all next week.
Good to see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.